Toes are hitting the turf on this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. We're back, episode number 347 of the Indie Ball Report podcast, a show that at one point had things to talk about, and then the summer ended and the long night of winter began.
Night of winter began. Yeah. That reminded me of something else. We're not going to do all that. I mean, we still got stuff. We got busy stuff. Last week was full of drama. We got exciting stuff going on this week, too. What are you talking about? Don't be negative. You're so negative all the time.
Are you in a dramadon?
I don't know what that means.
Did you not see the, what was it?
Nazis.
Begonia, I think of how it's pronounced.
What
The
about?
one with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons in theaters now.
Oh, yeah. I've seen about it. Why?
That's what it's from, Andromedons. I will not ruin it, but I will say, I walked in I just need to see something else until the movie I want to see is on. I'm not just going up for an hour. I do back to back because I like movies.
Yeah. My dad's on the same wavelength. I'm with you. Not foreign to me.
I was like, this seems interesting. If it's the timeline, we'll go with that. And I sat down, was watching it. I was like, yeah, it was actually kind of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's Yorgos that did it. So those listening here, if this doesn't get cut, the same guy that directed Poor Things. And I wasn't a huge Poor Things fan. So I was like, I don't really know what to expect.
I hated Poor Things, yeah.
The point is, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I was like, oh, wait, no, he actually did kind of cook here.
Oh, all right. Good to know.
Yeah, he actually did kind of cook.
And then Stavros pops up as a cop at some point.
Oh, he is. It actually does a really good job.
He's a pretty good actor. He's fun.
I want to say more about it, but I don't want to ruin it.
Let it go. It's all good. I'll catch it at some point here.
He's reformed from what he did to Jesse Plemonson's character as a child. I'll leave it at that.
That's amazing.
They allude to it, and then they basically outright tell you, like, oh, that's why he's kind of screwed in the head. Okay. And then you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Let him cook. Would highly recommend it. Would highly recommend seeing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, in any case, on to baseball now.
Sure. Why not?
We have some coaching carousel work to do today, and we have some New York turf work to do today. And then I get to lie to you guys and say, we're going to have an interview next week when I don't have that planned because I was lazy and didn't text people I needed to text.
So be it.
Yeah. At least I'm being an honest liar. I'm not believing the lies. In any case, let's get to New York's turf situation because they are putting in turf on their field. Should be ready by opening day. Double natural surface, whatever the hell that means. Stadium also has 3 colleges that play there in Dominican, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Manhattan. So good for them. A lot of wear and tear on that field. Anyone that's played there, anyone that's coached there, anyone that's seen the thing really past July can attest to the state of that field. And it's really a situation where it's not even really on the grounds crew, I would say. It's just a matter of it gets so much wear in March, in April, in May that, plus I believe the conference tournament for CACC is held there as well. That's in addition to any volunteer stuff, any other extracurriculars outside of baseball too. There's just a lot that goes on there that it becomes a nightmare to have to maintain. So good on them for putting the turf in there. We said it numerous times before last offseason, throughout the year. We'll say it again. Neither one of us really love turf. I don't think anyone loves playing on turf, but it does.
This is one of the situations where people won't necessarily have complaints.
Exactly. And in a lot of situations like this, as much as we don't love it, it makes financial sense to do it. And given the nature of the operation, finances sometimes have to take hold as currency is the currency of the realm.
What do you mean by that?
Money moves the realm.
Yes, indeed. So Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to add. I haven't seen the field in person, but I think it says something that I've heard tell of it, which is always a strong indicator when you're receiving word of somebody's field conditions from multiple people. Yeah, I'm vocal about not liking turf. I worry about it on a few different levels, but I think this is a more passable situation because, it's at a point where, like you said, I didn't want the grounds crew taking heat for it. And I'm glad you kind of mentioned it's not even really a grounds crew situation. It's just a tough situation to try to manage. And once you're kind of behind on it, it's hard to get a field back into shape no matter how much time you have, especially as you get up north toward New York. Yeah, field, the winters get a little rougher, things get a little wet, and the field just tends to take off on its own at a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain situation, it just kind of gets away from you. Even if you are doing everything right, just again, where is going to go ahead and tear down on it? Oh, wait, MACC or MAA. Yeah, MAAC.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, hosting a CAC tournament will certainly wear you down, but it's different. Yeah, I do.
Let me host two.
At a certain point, you can only fire so much money into the task of getting a field, close to standard, you know what I mean? And then having it regress year after year back toward, where it was, and just becomes a question of, is this a reasonable decision?
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Any event, that's the situation with New York. Good on them for getting the turf in. And I'm sure at some point we will talk further about the boulders and whatnot. I'm more surprised that you have not gotten up to Pomona, New York yet. Yeah,
it's a little weird. I'll definitely get up there this year. It's kind of crazy that I haven't.
Especially being that is one of the places that openly and willingly gives us press badges.
Yeah, true. I guess I'm just a bad person.
Well, we know that. Shame him.
Nah, it's fine.
Shame him. Oh, that's good. You want to talk about some coaching moves?
Surely. We'll see how we want to go about this, because there's definitely a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of things we have confirmed, a lot of things we don't have confirmed. So, the indie ball chaos carousel is truly going, baby.
Any event, we'll start with the ones that were formally announced, and then we'll go into the ones that are a little more speculative, and we'll talk about some possible job openings, and we'll go from there. We'll start off with Joliet. They have given Mike Pinto a 2-year extension. I don't believe we mentioned this before. It happened like a week or so back, but
yeah, I don't think we did.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it now. Good for Mike to be back.
Yeah.
And I want to see him finish this out. I'd love to have him back on both to talk about the book and the extension and the 2 years so far. I think it'd be very interesting to get his opinion on what he thought he was walking into versus what he did, and the challenges he's faced so far. But generally, I still believe in his ability as a baseball guy. I think he is still he's definitely one of the most experienced guys out there. I still do believe that he can, get this ship righted in Joliet. We saw something year 1. Year 2 was a little bit tougher, but that was a rough division setup for him. So a lot of factors rolling there. But I'm curious to see what the next stage is here. It's also close to 1,000 wins. So I'd like to see him get to that plateau. Certainly, it's a big milestone, mile marker in a career. No doubt about that. So I do kind of feel like this might be the end after 2 years. That's more me speculating than anything else. But it just kind of feel like 2 more. Let's get this 1,000 win mark. See if we can't get 1 more ship for the boys, and then, ride it off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, there was an improvement in the record from year 1 to year 2. I think it wasn't as large of an improvement as people would have expected. I think part of that was, Schaumburg had a down-ish year, I'll call it, in 2024. So they got some wins there. I think nobody really expected Mississippi to be as good as they were, though it kind of helped if you could beat up Joliet more than we would have expected as well. In the end, I think, it's tough. I guess I'm trying to think of a good comp. I kind of want to say Brett Jody's situation in Lincoln, but I think it's a little different than that, because Brett Jody's had a few more years, and honestly, he's tracking the opposite direction with the of Mike and Joliet, where he's at least one more in year 2 than year 1. I guess it is one of those things where, is there an option out there that you might feel could fit differently, or I'm not even saying better, but you've had 2 years, you've struggled both years. Is there an option out there where you could shake it up? Yeah, I'm sure, but at the same time, there's a real chance you end up with a worse manager. I mean, Mike Pinto is a good manager. He's a long track record of success.
He's a solid team.
You're the worst. And it becomes one of those things of, and at the very least, he knows what he's doing. And you can very easily slip into a situation with unknown quantities, or, thinking what you have out there, and then it doesn't work out, and all of a sudden you're left holding the bag with, a manager option that you wouldn't like. So, I think if you have Mike Pinto available and already in your front office, I think that's the move. And because at first when we heard some rumors that this might be the parting of ways between Joliet and Mike, I think we were kind of like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. 2 years down, he's getting older. It makes sense to move on. But as I thought about who's on the market right now, it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, and now there's not good coaches on the market. I was just not sure that any of them would, I felt like there were other landing spots better than Joliet for them, or other very competitive and similar spots that people could land at that would make it a real risk for Joliet to go out there and try to hit the open market looking for another manager right now, especially again when compared to the fact that they do have Mike Pinto and his track record already on the staff.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that gets me is I don't know where your improvement's really going to come from, and I do think there's a lot of guys that are a good example of they'll succeed in the right situation, but they're not perfect for every situation. In the same way where with Mike, with Pinto, you kind of know you can have a baseline to operate. We haven't seen him kind of jump above the baseline a little bit, so you'd like to see that. But still, he's stability. He is righting the ship. And especially given the time that he was hired with new ownership coming in, and it's still only being 2 years in, keeping him on for another couple of years is far from a bad mistake. It's not even a mistake, really. So I don't dislike the decision. I do need to see a bit more in year 3 from a pure baseball perspective. Like we've ragged on other guys that were brand new. So I feel like it's only fair to, hold more veteran guys that standard too. It's like, okay, year 1, you're getting a feel for the ground. Year 2, you're starting to put your pieces in place. You're starting to put your stamp on the team. By year 3, anyone that's still here is your guy now. Anyone that you've kept, anyone you've brought in, they are certifiably your guy.
Right.
The baseball off situation, for just about everyone, the manager has a large say in that, if not the only say in that. So they're your guys. And so unless there is something happening that we're unaware of that limits what he can or cannot do, the roster and therefore what happens on the field is his to own. So that's why year 3 and I suppose year 4, I got to imagine saying a 2-year extension, there's the intent to finish it out. You need to kind of see an improvement, even if it's not win-loss, just in the way games go, in the numbers and the stats and all that's there. You need to see a little something more than what we've seen the first 2 years.
Yeah, and I think there's something too to be said for a couple things. One is, even though he's getting older, like there's no doubt that Mike Pinto's engaged. Like you start to see guys start to check out a little bit, and you start to wonder, like, hey, maybe he's just not like in for it anymore. But like, I mean, there's not a lot of guys, Frank. This sounds so. It makes me sound like I'm calling him ancient, but like that are Mike's age who are like actively engaging on social media and talking ball on socials. And I've kind of laughed a little bit sometimes because he'll have some, old man baseball takes too, but he also like, there isn't a conversation where I see it's going on and like it seems to be going over his head. Like he's engaged with what's happening in baseball, development's happening in baseball. He is willing to change his mindset to things that are more modern too, while also keeping rooted in, the feel that comes to being a manager for as long as he has, having all the experience he has. So there's something very valuable about that, the continued passion for it, combined with the experience. And that's actually very hard to find, that, a manager with as much experience as he has without being jaded. And I think that is worth something. I also think if you look at it, so to make the playoffs, if everyone else plays equal to last year, which is a reach, but let's just say as a baseline, Joliet would have to gain 8 games to make the playoffs next year. Do we see that happening? I don't think so. I'd also say there is a possibility we do see a couple of teams, not really. Lake Erie might be the only one to really be prime for a potential backslide, but at the same time,
Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi too. Mississippi, I'm just looking at the playoff teams.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair.
But I think so. Are they necessarily going to threaten in 2026 for a playoff spot? I don't know, but I do think the floor is pretty high. Things can only go. I mean, the first year was rough. They improved 6 games into year 2. So I mean, if they continue that pace, they'll be at 500 next year, over 500, which is great. But at the same time, also, I think I've always said when you have an experienced manager too, things can really only go so sideways, which is nice, especially when, Joliet seems to be really working on cultivating their brand and bringing in fans, things like that. To know that there's an experienced guy who can handle things and can handle a little bit of the adversity that comes every indie ball season and things like that, I think is just, even just from a mental standpoint, a huge weight off that front office as well. Not to speak for them, but it's, putting myself in the shoes a little bit of a front office who's trying to do what they're trying to do. I feel like having somebody with plenty of experience and knowledge is probably even more valuable for them than other organizations.
I would agree with that. I do think too, our perception of what they should be is skewed by the guy that they hired and the success he's had.
Mm-hmm.
When you bring in a guy that has had the history that Mike Pinto's had, you kind of expect there to be routinely winning seasons, if not postseason seasons.
Yeah.
To not have that, as unfair as it may or may not be, it's a little disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it is also worth keeping in mind that Joliet does not necessarily have a long track record of success. I mean, they won the championship in 2011, and then they were last basically in the league 2012, 2013, and then the I-beam Jeff Isom got in there. They improved every year for the most part, won a championship in 2018, and then 2019 struggled, moved on from Jeff Isom over COVID, and then 2021, that didn't go well, obviously. And then 2022, 2023, they were sort of middling. And honestly, now they're right about back to that same level, but at least with an upward trajectory, you figure. So we'll see. Now, I will say last time, in 2021, they had 39 wins. They improved to 49, and then they went backwards to 46, and then they made a manager change. So this is kind of, they've gotten that point now. So let's see, now is a good sort of, it's pretty similar to where they were then. They're sticking with their manager decision and seeing, I guess, if they can kind of keep riding it there, or if they're going to step back again. So it'll be interesting as an entire sort of gut check, I guess, for Joliet organization that's really struggled to get momentum over the years.
The biggest takeaway here is the I-beam is a miracle worker in a sense.
Dude, Jeff Isom just goes to trash teams and gets dubs.
Even for me, a guy that's really in the weeds here, it wasn't until recently that I really appreciated how great of a manager he is.
I know. I'm this is something I'm definitely going to watch this year because
he's the most underrated great manager, I feel like.
Right?
Because he just goes places yeah, no, we're going to fix that. He loves reclamation projects.
I mean, hell, Gary, Chicago, Joliet.
The man is a midway man through and through.
I mean, just indie ball with some solid results into the Brewer system, just right back indie ball. Year 1, by the way, took Lake Erie to the championship, not to the win, but to the series. Dude. So by the way,
definition of it's not much, but it's honest work.
I mean, yeah, man. Well, yeah, we'll do maybe a Jeff Isom deep dive. We should try getting him on the pod.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Talk some Gary Ball with Jeff Isom.
Dude, hell yeah. Don't want to encroach on anybody else's podcast territory. Nothing personal, boys. Just got to talk to the I-beam.
Exactly. Someone has to talk to the I-beam.
Can't build a solid foundation just to not add a good old I-beam. I don't know. That wasn't. I was looking for something there. It didn't really work.
Jeff Isom will leave us tickets for Union Night, no doubt.
Yes.
It always comes back to Union Night.
It always comes back to Union Night in all things. The Alpha and the Omega is Union Night.
Inside, there are two wolves. One needs to go to Union Night. The other one will die if he doesn't go to Union Night. There's a whole road trip planned for Union Night.
It's going to be amazing. I'm fairly in on that. As tight budgeted as I am, part of that right now, it's a lot of it is because I'm planning some trips next year. So Union Night trip is penciled in. So yeah, keep posted on that one, people.
Gary, if you don't put Union Night on that, my thing is August 17th.
I can plan us a road trip either way. I can help plan us a road trip if we have to change up. I got you.
All right. But we have this thing budgeted out with stops. I'm just waiting for you to announce your promo schedule so that way I can go procure press badges from like 3 different teams.
You're crazy, by the way. Our big travel issue is going to be the fact that you and I view food very differently. You seem to view food as like a necessity. I view food as like the reason to keep moving in the morning.
Dude, I made that with the assumption that you needed to eat. I'm cool just eating once a day and moving.
Oh no, I'm saying like the thing that like when I finish lunch, I'm thinking about dinner.
Oh, well,
like I'm about that life. Yeah, I know. So like you said what the food budget was. So I was like, brother, like for you, like I know my food. You and I are working off different budgets on the food situation. That's for sure.
Yeah,
we can always
get
a tent. I have a tent that does fit in the back of the truck, by the way. So let's all keep that in mind.
Union Night.
Yeah, baby.
Lou Ford and Bobby Blevins are back in Long Island, by the way. Tim Battle Jr. is going to take over as the bench coach. That means no more Billy Horn. We'll have more on that later. But for now, Long Island. Thoughts?
Oh, I don't have a lot. I got to be honest. I mean, Bobby Blevins is a guy who constantly interests me. I don't know why. I just think he's fascinating. So I'm interested to see how, that continues to progress. Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts. I mean, it's Lou Ford, steering the ship. I was really impressed by the step up that Long Island made this year. I think Lou's really got that thing rolling in the right direction. I'm hearing good things out of Long Island for the first time in a while. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a ton to add on that coaching staff conversation. It's more the rabbit hole that kind of sent me down with, after the announcement, I guess. But what are your thoughts?
I'd like bringing Lou back again. Obviously, Doug Legend, so it makes it awkward to get rid of him, period. But sure. He has been trending in the upward direction, so I do like that. He seems to be getting his feet underneath him, understanding the managerial situation a little bit more. So I am a fan of that. I do like that. No strong feelings one way or the other on Blevins. I suppose fine, keep bringing him back if he wants to be back. Seems like, again, trending in the right direction there. It's battle here that I am curious about. I do like that we keep seeing this draft league to indie ball pipeline that feels like the way forward for a lot of different teams here. He isn't totally a stranger here. It's apparently 6 seasons of indie ball, according to the press release. So kind of interesting there. As a bench coach, I, again, don't quite know the full details of his role here. We'll see, I suppose.
It's tough because teams do use the bench coach a little bit differently in indie ball. There's some variation, how they're used. Some are just, the the manager's drinking buddy. Others are, actually in the dugout helping spot strategy and make calls and sort of go from there. At the very least, it helps to have somebody who has good feel and can help work. So much of it is managing the clubhouse, and somebody who has that experience is that's a good thing. My thing, 100% bringing back Lou is the right move. I mean, Lou stepped into what was a difficult situation. They had a slow start in 2024 and then bounced back to go 2 games above 500. This year, I mean, they had a very good record. They just got screwed with a 2-half system, 72-54, 571, a winning percentage. They were better than the Stormers on the season overall by a game. So, they just got second half stormered. It's a thing. They've really, continued to sort of, they look like the Long Island Ducks again. They look like, what is this? It's the start of insert name of second Star Wars here, The Empire Strikes Back, where it's like they're building. It's not central to the plot, but this whole season you could tell they were building another Death Star. And you're like, okay. Like you see some of the signings that they made and you're like, oh, okay. Like, Lou knows guys, pulling Seth Beer, pulling Castillo, Taylor Colway, guys like that. Al Albuquerque still was hanging around, but he didn't really make an appearance. But I don't know. Like they're showing that flair. Pulling Zach Plesac was huge. They're getting the reputation of being able to get guys picked up, and becoming a hub for guys with MLB experience. I mean, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, wait, hold on. I'll just do it this way. They had like 10 plus guys on MLB experience this year. I mean, those are numbers that we're used to seeing from them again, which is 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 guys on MLB experience touch the Long Island roster this year. So they are sort of becoming what we're familiar with again, which I think is very interesting. And we know that Long Island really values winning. So it's not super surprising to see Lou come back. That's for sure.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Battle there?
I'm more interested. I mean, he's familiar with the organization. I think that's important when you go to the Ducks, because I do think the Long Island Ducks are an acquired taste when it comes to indie ball teams and the way they operate. And not everyone likes it. Some people get over there and they're like, this is hell, get me out of here. Some people are like, I love it here. A lot of people are like, well, yeah, they operate a certain way. And as long as you know what it is, that's fine. So I think having some familiarity is key. Having also somewhat local, having been in the State College area with the Spikes and the draft league, is good. I mean, New York familiarity. So I think there's a lot of good things there. I worry about guys without indie ball experience, but he is just, I don't want to say just a bench coach, but when you hop into a bench coach role, a lot of times it is learning and growing toward a manager job or something similar. So I do wonder if, that's what he's looking for. And this is a really good step up toward that. So I don't really have a ton of thought on it. All that to say, I don't have a ton of thought on it. I think it's, he's probably going to be learning on the job a little bit, but also he is at least familiar with how things are going to work. And I think he's going to be fine, is my vibe. I don't really know anything about him personally, but it seems like he should be fine.
It sounds like he's 3 years away from the next Chicago Dogs manager.
I mean, right. It's fair.
So I suppose let's segue into the more speculative openings, because we still do have some openings and some more positions here that need to be filled, and some that we're starting to get a read on here, some direction that they could go. I'm not sure which one of the handful of teams here we want to kick it off with here, but we'll talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we should just do a full, not this week, obviously, it's a little late in the game, and who knows, by next week it might be too late. I think we're going to have an announcement for at least a couple teams in the next week about manager spots. But I'd love to maybe next week really do a full track down of, okay, simple things like who hasn't announced an opening or who hasn't announced that their manager is returning the next year. And what does that mean? Is that something? Is it not? Because there have been some openings that I just was a little surprised by and hadn't heard about.
Not to mention we have to go through the ones that already announced either their guys on a multi-year contract or not too. That's
right. Exactly. So now I don't know. The first one, so we've been talking about for a while. I mean, Cleburne still seems to have an opening. I think my first thought, and a lot of people's first thought when the Long Island announcement was made, was that Billy Horn's not there.
Yeah.
Billy Horn has Cleburne familiarity. So that's interesting. I would keep an eye on that as a potential. I mean, I assume he's a top candidate for that gig.
I mean, he definitely has the cultural fit there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't have, much info on that, but I think that's where my head has gone, at least. If you look at it, that would Chicago, who knows? Because Chicago's had such a series of headaches finding guys. I hear they have somebody lined up. I don't know who. I think we'll know soon, but I don't know who it's going to be. The rumor earlier in the offseason was it could have been a Stan Clyburn move. I'm tempted to think no.
I don't think that would be the move. I think at this point, Stan stays put where he's at until he gets thrown out.
Or just decides he's done.
Yeah.
That was my read also. I just don't know what. I am so lost on who it could be. That's one where I really don't have any feel for it. I know that Windy City and Florence apparently were looking to fill openings, which is interesting, and I feel some type of way a little bit about it. But if that's accurate, I mean, so if that's the case, that kind of sucks. But I do get it; they've been struggling, and
yeah, I mean, that's
a new ownership situation.
That's the situation there. I mean, Chad's great vibes wise. He is for the boys. 100%. That being said, the results are there.
That's a guy who I'd like to see back in a pitching coach role. Learning, maybe I have felt a little bit like, and this could be a misread, but it's from watching a lot of Florence games and from talking to some people that have been around Florence. It has always felt to me like he was a pitching coach who, because he was good with the guys, they needed a manager and they went with him. That's not to say anything bad about his abilities. I think he's been learning, but I think also he didn't really come fully equipped with the toolkit to handle all that goes with managing an indie ball team. And I'd love to see him because I like him personally. I think he's good for the vibe. I think he is uniquely suited with the potential to be an indie ball managing legend someday because of the vibe, because of his energy, because of the way guys like him and he cares about the guys and he gets the marketing side. He gets the fun part. Like he really seems to have an understanding of the bigger picture in a way that oddly a lot of guys don't, which is funny because I think seeing him, he almost feels like he might be a bit of a space cadet, but I think he really gets it. And I would love to see him have another chance at managing, but maybe just a couple more years of, doing a pitching coach job or even doing a bench coach job with the intentional understanding that he's wanting to learn about what it is to be a successful indie ball manager without needing to, without the pressure of actively doing it. Because learning on the job is hard when you're just, it's hard to take notes while you're drowning. That's kind of the thing. And that extends not only to like the roster building thing. I think he had the issue, in my opinion, of too much loyalty. I always felt like he was letting guys hang around too long. And that's a thing of you can be for the boys, but also be for the boys while also making sure they're in a position where they can succeed. And very often that isn't where you are. Yes. We talk about how Florence is a difficult spot to pitch in. However, you can't be so far to the bottom pitching wise while you were managing as a pitching coach. It just, you can't have it. As a former pitching coach, rather. There were red flags with that. I watched other games. There was a lot of things I shook my head at from a game management perspective, just things where I'm like, you can tell either it was my frustration. I'm sorry to get into the weeds, and I'm going to try not to go too far in. Watching a lot of Florence games, and I try to think about it a little bit more. This could all be Chad still being there, by the way. We've never gotten an official announcement. I'm just hearing this through the grapevine. So, whatever. But thinking back on a lot of the games I've seen, what frustrated me with Chad's managing style and continues to, if he is still managing, is he doesn't seem to necessarily have a managing style, right? And by that, I mean, a lot of the times I'll watch and I'm like, hey, he does something that's not like unusual is a good enough word for it, but going against the
unorthodox.
Thank you, perfect, unorthodox, and I see what he's going for, and I understand that he's what he's trying for, but it just doesn't, like, the math doesn't support it. That's not actually the move. And even if there's extenuating circumstances, it's like, hey, that's not what you should be doing right now in a game. And there's other ones where it seems like he is playing the orthodox strategy in situations where I'm like, why? Like, lean in on this one, like, trust the guy or whatever. Like, it was just sort of, it felt like there wasn't a rhythm to the decision making at times, and that's what, when it came to on-field product, kind of threw me. And then again, I think from a signing guy's perspective, it was a little bit, he struggled, and that's, that's a growing pains type of thing, but you would have liked to see a little bit more progression, I guess, as time goes on with that. But again, I like him. I think he's a really good thing for indie ball managing and indie ball in the whole. I would really like to see him get another chance at it. I would just like it. I know he's got a family, so like you can't just be taking any job, but also you kind of need to be taking any job. It's a weird situation there. So hopefully he lands, if he is out in Florence, he lands on his feet and with the opportunity to move back up toward a management position. Cause I really enjoy him being an indie ball. I think he's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long thing on that, on a potentially still present manager, by the way. I'm aware of that, but
I just wonder where he would fit in. Yeah. I do wonder where he would land though, as a pitching coach, presumably. That, or I wonder to a degree, is he a fit in the Pioneer League?
I wonder that in the right spot, maybe. I would love, I mean, all these California teams, right? It kind of makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder.
But also, I struggle. It takes a specific vibe. I mean, he is a Midwest guy.
Yeah.
So,
not sure that fits.
He was also a Texas guy. Also a Texas guy. Yeah.
Well, Texas is basically California now, so.
So I keep hearing. I
got a great comedy scene out there in Texas.
Like, allegedly, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be tough to find something that maybe necessarily fits. I mean, maybe an American Association assistant role could be interesting. I'm looking this up real quick. I just want to get a feel.
Hell, who knows? Maybe he's the next manager of the Chicago Dogs.
Well, honestly, that wouldn't be the most surprising thing.
Take the pay bump, roll with the punches,
mindset.
Leave after 1 year.
I guess that's the other thing. I mean, Florence, I felt like Florence's pitching got worse as he became the manager, which is interesting. I don't know. There's just a lot there.
I mean, you said it, though, in the sense of he made a classic young manager blunder, which is overextending loyalty.
Yeah.
Where it's tough to start cutting guys, especially like your first group of guys, even when it's very clear, like, oh no, this isn't working.
Right.
So that's a major issue that has to be resolved at some point.
I think it's also, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and it's the kind of thing that gets resolved over time as you just learn to kind of go with it. It's just a matter of having to go through it first.
Yeah, and it's a little tough, again, for a pitching coach to necessarily attribute all success or failure to a coach. But I think it is worth noting, we've talked about, again, that the more hitter-friendly ballpark that Florence happens to be. They did have an exactly league average ERA when he was the pitching coach in 2022. So there is something potentially to that, and that potential as a pitching coach, at least for the short term, while he kind of if he needs to regroup. Again, who knows what the situation is, but something to watch.
Other openings, what are we looking at here?
I hear Windy City has been looking.
I guess it's open again, the boot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. I mean, that was a tough situation last year, and I'm not sure that was necessarily what he was asking for when he took the role. To be, obviously the whole situation, but like to actually manage, I don't know if that was what he was looking for, especially with, indie ball being very difficult. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if they were making that move. What else do we have? I mean, Jersey is still looking to fill anything. I mean, do we feel like we're confident in what they're doing, or are we not going to push that right now?
I feel good enough about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're both thinking that Bobby's coming back.
Yeah, it looks like a Bobby Jones return is is lined up there, and I'm kind of conflicted on it. On one level, he had success before in the Frontier/Can-Am League, and he clearly does know what he's doing. It's just that, damn, is he a wrecking ball of a personality at times.
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's very interesting to bring him back into the fold. And on some level, yeah, it helps establish the team. It helps establish, a foundation to work off of. But I do question the kind of culture that you are cultivating at the same time.
Right. And I don't even know if when it comes to Jersey, I don't really know if that's something that they can choose much, how many options do they have? Connected a little bit to that. I mean, by the way, yeah, and Bobby's had his obvious successes and obvious shortcomings, and there was the weird situation with Sussex last year and not being there and whatever else. But I do think it's something to watch because Bert, is still out there on the market from Bert Gonzalez. And I was having a conversation with somebody this week, and it did stand out. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with a random opening if he finds an Atlantic League gig.
Yeah.
Which sounds, a little crazy after the headaches in Jersey. But if you think about it, you got Jamie already in High Point. You got sort of they have the potential indie ball jobs connection already coming across in the Atlantic League. So, you got Jamie Keefe there. They're familiar with each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bert finds some sort of role in the Atlantic League. What else do we have? Do we have any others lingering that we haven't talked about?
So there is Pioneer League stuff there.
Pioneer League, all the California stuff, but I do hear they apparently have a read on who they want to go for next year. If not, they already have them locked in.
Which, speaking of which, has Modesto been formally announced yet?
All but, right? I feel like everyone's talking about it openly.
Well, they posted
it's kind of weird.
Well, that's the neat thing is on Teamwork it's posted.
Yeah, classic.
Check the chat link. I sent it to you.
All right. I mean, hey, I might be applying for stuff. Hey, from Pioneer League want to hire me, and you don't mind that the league does seem like me.
Paying $80 to $95 for the GM out in Modesto.
Where's it? Great Falls. Great Falls. Looking for one.
Yeah. You get medical, dental, and vision benefits, employer match 401k, and PTO.
It's not bad, honestly.
For PTO? I don't think you want to leave the grind, though.
No, can't have it. Yeah. Sure. I don't know. I'm just trying to rack my brain. I'm looking through the list of teams right now. I'm like, who do we not know for sure? But that's better as probably an off-pod thing, so I shouldn't be doing it now. But
also, in case you're wondering, from Modesto, that got posted about a week ago.
About a week ago.
2 weeks ago, they posted the assistant GM opening in Long Beach, in case anyone's wondering about that.
Yeah. I don't think they'd want to hear from me out there. Womp womp. Which you can't complain about. It's a bet I've made for myself, so is what it is.
But do you have 3 to 7 years of experience in baseball operations?
I honestly would say yeah.
This is preferably at professional or collegiate level.
I mean, I hate to say it, is what we do is running projections every year, not baseball operations experience. Not making decisions, but I'm out here analyzing the decisions that 50 other baseball ops departments are making. So
I kind of feel like that's the case. Do you have a bachelor's degree?
Yes.
Is it in sports management, business, or a related field?
Business. Count it.
God, you got a shittier comm degree. Wow.
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Managing the Chicago Dogs.
Isn't that where we all see it? Oh, not me. That won't go well. I may fist fight an actual team owner on the field.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that might happen without you.
It almost did if one person's doing it.
Well,
won't mention who, but one person told me about it.
Not just one.
Multiple people have said, yeah, he tried to fight someone on the field pre-game.
Pre-game is crazy, by the way.
People
just saying.
Imagine that. You sit down with the kid, start drinking your beer, eating your hot dog, you look from your phone for 1 second, you're like, oh shit, is that the team owner about to fight a manager?
I'll give a quick story and then we'll probably wrap this up. I can relate because rugby warm-ups are similar to like NFL, right? Where it's, each team has their half, and you're kicking kind of over. And I was finishing up. It was pretty early before game, probably an hour or so. I was finishing up my kicking warm-up, and I was kicking from pretty deep-ish, I guess. And I don't think I was at midfield, but I think I stepped across midfield to get my steps right and then kick. And I guess they didn't like that. And all of a sudden, guy done his warm-up already, comes back out to do a warm-up kick for himself from our side at his own uprights. This guy can't kick like that. And I just like, as he walked up, because I was over there, I just like looked at it, I just knocked the ball right off the tee. And I was like, and he was like, what? And I was just like, chucked it back to his side of the field. I was like, that's where you kick from. You won't need to worry about being on this side. And long story short, I had some family coming to the game, which is rare for me. And they enter through the gate as I'm being walked back to the locker room by like a half-dressed ref, two teammates, and a coach. And by walked, I mean like basically carried because I'm not a big guy. and it's like yelling, saying something wild. I mean, it was not even repeatable in the pod. And then just looking, finishes it. I mean, the UNT is still flying out of my mouth as I look left and just make eye contact with family. And I'm like, yo, what's up? Tried to save it. There was, I played well, thank God, but I don't think that disappointed look left their face. So I'm not going to sit here and talk bad on a man trying to fight pregame. I understand it. But also,
I also feel like
I can also speak to the fact that it's not advisable.
I also feel like it's a little bit different when it's two players going at it versus a team owner and a manager.
So part of the issue was that a coach was involved. Like their coach, I guess, decided he was going to say something to it. And which I'm also like, grow up, but whatever. I think the coach is about my age anyway, but whatever. But yeah, it was just a mess. That was a debacle. I was like, all right, well, literally like a home game for me. Well, for us, even though it's a neutral game, it's at, the local college to you guys. Like, come on out. It'll be a great time. I surely won't embarrass the family. You certainly won't hear me say a few words that you never thought would be said by the man whose diaper you changed as a baby. Like, they grow up so fast. Oh, well. I was right. Anyway. This is how we finished every conflict story. I was right, by the way.
Story time with Ryan. What a way to end the pod for the week.
Good stuff or terrible stuff. I never know. Not my bucket.
Say, really. It's not really your problem. So we'll get to some plugs. We'll get out of here. We were on a podcast too, by the way.
I was going to say we should shout it out.
Yeah, no, Indie Ball Insider podcast on YouTube. Hopped on there. Weird as hell to watch yourself do this shit, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
so be it.
I'm not going to brag, but if you look up Indie Ball Insider podcast, this show comes up for the first 4 links.
He actually does content, so I can't talk.
You're the 5th link, by the way.
Classic.
Where you have one review, it is 5 stars.
Oh.
So,
it was.
But yes, Inside Indie Ball, I believe is it is. Inside Indie Ball is the podcast. We'll throw a link to the one we're on there. Fun time. I had a lot of fun doing it. Plus, it's a lot more fun when I'm allowed to be the out-of-pocket one because I don't have to edit it.
Also true. Yeah. And you can find my stuff, Indie Ball Nation. Whatever. I'll probably post stuff. Maybe. One of these days. Works busy.
Yeah, Indie Ball report pretty much everywhere except for Twitter. That's Indie Ball Pod. We'll leave you there. Until next time, don't forget to play ball.